Jesus never went to tell anybody in his days that you are going to hellfire. When he got to the woman at the well of Samaria, the subject of conversation was water. Do you understand? He spoke at everyone's level. Which Jesus are you representing? You're about to touch something. This one that we seem to have no ground for conversation once it goes beyond the Bible. And even if the people we are talking to don't understand the Bible, we should have a ground and then bring them through the perspective of scriptures back to scriptures. Many will only listen when they find that the wisdom of God is at work. When Daniel got to Babylon, he simply manifested God's wisdom in solving their unique problems. God is not scared about injecting his own children into systems. The only thing those children should know is that there is a curriculum for survival. And then there's a curriculum for dominating. You can survive the corruption of a system and still be useless within the system. You are not corrupt, but you are not useful. You are not corrupt, but they can't call you for matters that requires a high degree of intellect. They can't call you for matters. They can't call you to contribute when the matters get to where it gets to. You are surviving well, not drinking, not doing all those stuff, but you are still not useful. The idea of that is that it's just a matter of time. You'll be kicked out. Now, I just want to come from the perspective of church history. Is that okay? Now, Nigeria is going through a very, very serious one. And I think it is an insult. It is an insult to the body of Christ. It is an insult to the investment of Christ in a nation. It is an insult to come out from whatever perspective and say that God is not interested in the political matter of a nation. It is an insult when the same God says that when the righteous rule, the people rejoice. When the wicked man rules, they groan. And God said to Moses, I've heard the groan of my children in Egypt. That's a government conquering them. And God sent a man. Why did God send a man? Not because Israel was special. Israel was special because they were carrying Christ. Someone in that lineage was carrying Christ. You didn't get it. That's it. Israel looks special above all nations. The only reason, the substance of the Abrahamic blessing is Christ. The reason why the jealousy of God was vested on them, why they were punished and sometimes restored and punished again, is because God has an investment. The question is, does God have an investment in Nigeria? How dare you say that it doesn't matter to God? Because we barely stand in the middle when it comes to doctrine. We are always towards one extreme. Either some people are believing we should do this without God, or we don't even need to do this at all. But there is a balance. We bring the influence of God into every system. That's the balance. Anywhere lives, and by life I mean anything that affects human lives, is being determined. In order, just the same way we tell you now, the spiritual controls the physical. What that means is that to everything working, there's a back end. The back end controls the front end. You understand that? The movie you are watching, some drafted the script. And when that girl was going to pull off her clothes without wearing anything, some people went through the script, but there was no one to say it's not necessary. Or no one to say with a level of intelligence powerful enough that it's not necessary. What they want to hear is the perspective and how that affects their money. You can give all that, but you are speaking also by defending the gospel without mentioning because it is written. I'm still here next week, right? Because we have to do something really thorough. Do you understand? So, listen. How dare you complain about Big Brother Nigeria when the same you say God is not sending anyone to entertainment industry? How dare you? You cannot complain about what you permit. You have no right to. You cannot complain over what you permit. Now listen, And because of this conflict of ideology or conflict of doctrine, many believers who have what it takes, blessed by God, to get into these places and shift things, don't even know what to do again, and those things are wasting. And those who are not as smart as them are entering those places and getting things out. What's done this to us? Who is behind the lies and the heresies and false doctrines peddled everywhere? The devil. Who is the lying tongue in the mouth of teachers and prophets who have yielded to him? The devil. Now, what I do is that I sit down with different perspectives in line with scriptures, and also ask if we should continue with this. Is there, listen to this, is there an historical perspective to this line of thought? Yes, there is. In the 70s and in the 80s, the conclusion, in fact, it was so bad then. And I'm sorry to say this, but I just have to state the obvious. It was so bad then that many people were not allowed to have television because it is the devil's box. And it really now later became. Because when light vacates, don't blame darkness. Darkness is simply the system that takes advantage when light is not shining. This is simple enough. The issue has always been, we are just going to heaven, so we confuse hollowness for holiness and say we are just going to heaven, so we package ourselves and then say this world is not my own, I'm just passing by. And you see, let me give a perspective to that. And I'm not saying this to mock the memory of the dead and all that. I say this under God. I apologize if you feel so. I searched through most of the songs of Jim Reeves, and I got concerned. So one time, 2012, I sat down and I picked my phone, googled it. How did Jim Reeves die? Plane crash. The same thing is happening now. The devil seems to be riding side by side at the same speed with what we call revival. When we are at the peak, we get so passionate that we also bring death into what's supposed to be life. And then it sounds so much passion. And those that God wants to give influence, say, I belong to the generation of the nameless, faceless. No, influence is not nameless and faceless. And people start saying that, even if I die now, I'm ready. Where is the part of with long life will I satisfy you? Have you no purpose to stay and do? Is this world not better with your presence? Why? It's simple. It's the devil. We lose our guts when we are at the peak of revival and start saying, oh, the powerful things. You feel powerful when you say that. People are saying, But it doesn't change the fact that you are trading something. You are trading something. You are picking a part and you are saying, I don't want the rest. You are trading something. And the church we've always made that mistake. I mean, you will not believe that Muslim ticket can be pushed on a nation. Listen to this. When you check the real start of this nation, we have more Christians than Muslims. Check me anywhere. We have Christians in South, in Southwest, in Southeast. And we're everywhere in the North. We have Muslims everywhere. But the first place to defeat them is to first infiltrate the census board and get their guys there and understand that there's power in the mentality of population and make sure that something is projected that we are more than you. And if we are more than you, obviously we can rule you with our own rule. A state governor was saying that we're going to do this for 25 years. And unfortunately, we still have pastors who feel it's normal. So when you go to Abuja, there are grants in this nation you don't even know exist. But if you're a Muslim, you will know it exists. But you are praying and fasting for what God has provided for in government, but one of your kind is not there. Or one of your kind is there who didn't go to the curriculum of integrity. And we come back and just say, what are you talking about? How did we get here? The gaps we created in the 70s and the 80s. It's not filled yet. And someone says that we've had believers in power at some point. They didn't do well. Listen, believers wouldn't go through predictable curriculum. It's not about believers. It's about those who bring the influence of the kingdom. Not just Christians. We don't lack Christians in power. We lack kingdom men. Kingdom men. They are two different people. We lack kingdom men. Those who understand the agenda bigger than their belly. And it begins from now. And that's why God is trying to set process in place for you to live beyond your belly. If your belly controls you, if you get there, you will also fail. It's just our conclusions again and again. Again and again. How dare you say that there is nothing called teaching of marriage in the Bible? Huh? What are you talking about? Do you know the warfare that faces marriages? And now that there is a need for us to have teachers, if Jesus speak about marriage, yes. And guess what? Jesus spoke about money more than he spoke about anything else. Yes. Yes. Many of these guys, if they were around in the days of Jesus, they will call him an heretic preacher. They will call him a liar. Many of them. Too holy for Jesus. Because when Jesus came, he shifted the whole system. It was too radical for their liking. One time he was going to heal a man whose hand was withered on Sabbath day. And the Pharisees were watching him. Will you do this on Sabbath day? And so he told the man, stretch out your hand. The hand grew. So they said, look what did he? He said, which of you will have a ram or a sheep that falls to a ditch on Sabbath day, and you will leave it there till the following day? So you will go after a sheep, but you will not go after a person. You're a liar. The wisdom was just too much. They will come to his God. They will look for occasion they can't find. Christianity is not anti-wisdom. It is not anti-wisdom. It is not anti-wisdom. Wake up! So, we are only powerful in church. And what do we do in church? We do what they do outside in a spiritual way. They protest against the government, we protest against God, who has equipped us to go outside and do what we didn't do. It's a challenge. It's a challenge.